Hello people, welcome to episode 4. Today we're going to be sharing our birthing stories and sharing tips that we have for new parents.
Yeah. I don't have any tips for new parents because the one thing I hate the most is other parents or other people imposing their unsolicited tips, opinions, advice onto me. I feel like what works for me as a parent won't necessarily work for someone else. Like I've shaped myself I've adapted to my child and her needs, right? So I don't think that anyone could give me the relevant advice that I need as a parent, and therefore I don't feel like I could give the relevant advice back to someone else either.
But what if it's welcomed?
Yeah, like some people might need it or want it.
Yeah, because like, what would the advice be? This is really difficult, get on with it.
The advice is don't take...
No, but if
it's hard, get on with it.
Somebody in your position who has the same situation might need some advice, don't you think?
Then I think like you have to have a super close relationship to someone to be able to give that type of advice. Yeah, because I feel like someone you don't know very well would be quite difficult to advise them on how to be parent and what to parent.
Are there anything that you wish you knew, that you know now that you didn't know at the time?
I just wish someone would have said, this is really hard. Put your big girl pants on.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think like there was this whole romanticism around having children, being a family, and my own experience, I don't feel like anyone taught me the reality of it, or no one just made me aware that this is really, really hard, and you've got to get up every single day, no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what your financial situation, working situation is, relationship situation, and you just got to get on with it.
And no matter how many years later, it never gets easier.
This is it, in my head, I was literally saying, I just wish someone told me how to raise a teenager. Because when I had Lejla when she was young, she was it was easy. From baby onwards, it was easy. But this time round, where the child's 13, it is so difficult because she's in a different generation than we was. And there's so many things that are expected of her that are different to what we were expected as, and the pressure. And I think that generation is getting it a lot worse than what we had. And it's a tough cycle for them to kind of get out from. It's like it's impossible. It's everywhere they go, there's social media telling them this, and at school, the way that the school is arranged, there's so much pressure on her. She's chosen her GCSEs already in year 8. We had ours in year 9. So even though it will help them academically to be able to train, that's so much pressure. She's coming home, she's crying constantly because she feels like, oh, if I don't do this well in a test, I'm gonna get a bad career because GCSE depends on everything. I just think, when I look at her and I look at myself back then, I don't think I was this stressed as with GCSE.
No, I wasn't. I didn't care that much.
I didn't care,
No, but it's just, so how do I, like right now, I would genuinely ask, what support is there for me to have, like, literally, to raise a teenager, because I need it.
I think you'd welcome the advice.
I would welcome.
I think maybe it's for me. What I would value more is the support, not the advice. Because what works for one doesn't work for another. So instead of saying this is what worked for me, actually saying what's the best option for you and how can I support you in your journey. So going alongside you with whatever you've got going on.
Sometimes people don't know how they need to be supported. So sometimes when you hear, and like I said, you're able to like take bits and be like, okay, that works. It's about, you then have a choice whether you want to take on that advice or not. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes it's nice for people to share, because some people don't know. They don't know what that support looks like. They don't know what it is that they actually want or what they're searching for.
Absolutely, and I think back to when I gave birth to Bella, just how difficult and traumatic the birth was. Nothing would have changed it because it happened the way it happened. But I wish I had the support, and I didn't. Like, I was 24, so young, like in the worst relationship ever, no support from my family. I didn't really know how to ask my friends for help. I was just suffering alone after the most traumatic, like, I can't even explain to you, like, I thought I was going to die.
Same. Did you have a C-section?
I did in the end. I had an emergency C-section, and I also was, I think they called the defibrillators. They had to defib me back
to life.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I hemorrhaged a lot of blood. It was just a really super traumatic birth, and I remember going home. I was in hospital for a week after on blood transfusions. In their, I think what they call their high intensity care, or the unit for the. No. It's they've got a separate unit on maternity ward for more traumatic births. Yeah. And I remember being there, just even all the other women who had just gone through these just god awful trauma, and we were all just left there with a baby now. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Wow. And that was so traumatic as well. Like I'm recovering from a C-section. I'm recovering from thinking I was genuinely going to die. Like I'm on this blood transfusion. I'm hallucinating constantly. I'm in and out of consciousness for days after birth. Like it was the worst experience.
With the baby there was.
Yeah. Where's the baby gonna go? Like where's the baby gonna go?
That's crazy.
And you just think like there was nobody told me that birth could be like that. Everyone was just like, it's gonna be beautiful, you're gonna love it. I really was. I thought in my head, I was like, oh, I don't want an epidural. I'm gonna be Mother Earth and I'm gonna do it all on my own. Listen, 3 hours after they broke my waters, I was like, lean forward, put that in my bag. But the whole birth experience was the worst experience of my whole entire life. It was traumatic, and I never want to do it again.
Oh my God. Yeah, same. I hated pregnancy. I hated the whole journey of. I slept for like 9 months the whole time. My skin, like the pain, everything changed. Birth, labour, horrific as well, 26 hours of labour, and then C-section. And then my son's dad was there, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I never held my hand once, never asked if I was okay once.
Sorry.
So it was like that added to the difficulty of. And I thought I was going to die. I didn't go through that, but I was saying goodbye to my mum. And I just didn't feel his dad was, I didn't get that support at all. And that I feel like that really affected me after I gave birth, and after marriage I had a lot of resentment. I just and still to this day I don't understand, how can you not hold your wife's hand or rub her back or ask, are you okay? Are you that detached from what's going on? I found
this one here is huffing and puffing.
No, it's because I feel like in that situation, a lot of men don't know how to act or what to do. No, but it's just, I feel like I don't want to be too hard on them, because sometimes men don't know how to support women when they see us in pain.
It felt for me that he was frustrated more than like...
Again, I feel like, obviously me being a doula, I feel like the whole birth system is controlled. It's in a medical environment. I know obviously we do need medics there, but I feel like the whole birth culture has just become very medicalized, very controlled. Women, I feel like for example, the doctors and nurses, they're not there when we're having sex. They're not there when we're making that baby. Our bodies can do what it needs to do naturally. Obviously, that's general consensus. So again, like, I just feel like sometimes we need to give grace. So like my role would be as a doula to see your husband in that situation. I would give him the nudge to say, go and rub her back.
This is the time.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But do men need a nudge
sometimes
to say,
they do.
Are you okay?
Sometimes
it's going to be okay.
Sometimes they do, because at that moment you don't know what they're going through, what they're seeing, how they're feeling. They're seeing you in pain. They can't do anything about it. Do you see what I'm saying? So
but that still doesn't. That doesn't make sense to me.
I completely understand, and I think like maybe someone who is a healthy partner I think that's a really valid thing to say, but when you are, in my experience, with a perpetrator, it's a completely different, like it's a completely different thing. But I totally understand because it is helpless. Like, how do you support someone in that situation?
We are helpless, and again, like birthing culture, a lot of it, like, is very negative. It's very fearful. So even before we step into labour, we're already scared. They already tell you, like, you're gonna be in pain, having contractions. And again, what you think when you hear contractions, you think pain. So again, I think the whole birthing culture, it just needs to change in a way. But it's probably too far gone for that to happen now. But then these are the things that lead to, like, when they say, like, black and brown people, we're like 4 or 5 times more likely to die during childbirth. Yeah, and again, spinning out those numbers, it's the facts, but then spinning out those numbers, it instills more fear into women.
I get that, but I just, do you know what? Like, I seen it, and I feel like, you know, it should be second nature for men. You know, how hard could it be for a man to, for your husband to hold your hand? And
you're not asking for a lot.
How would you need a nudge for that?
But when you're not saying men, like, I think there's people that just show there's people that they've grown up and they said their mum never hugged them.
Yeah, 100%.
So people express their emotions differently, and
every birthing partner is different. And again, as a doula, my role would be to ask you, prior, what does your birth look like? How would you like your husband to support you? How would you like me to support you? How would you want the midwives to support you in that moment? So
I think every woman deserves that.
Yeah, and I think those are the questions that aren't asked. Yeah, those are the questions that aren't asked.
And by sharing this, I think then people kind of know, because I think going into it, this is your first time. You don't want to do it again. So sometimes, like I said, you don't even know what it is you want and what it is. But because you know what you didn't get, then you know if you did it again, I definitely want you to hold my hand or run my back. But before, you're not thinking about, do you know what I mean? You're not thinking about these things. So it's good having a doula to...
You know, like even when we're in the beginning, when we're pregnant and we're seeing our midwives and she asks, like, have you written your birth plan? They don't actually sit down and go through with you step by step. What happens? What do you want to happen if this happens? Okay, do you want optional epidural? Okay, that's probably the most in depth that they go. But like emotional support, none of that.
And you know what? You're bringing back so many memories. Like, I remember I was morbidly obese whilst I was pregnant, and from the minute I met my midwife, I was like, oh, I'll have a water birth. Like, that looks great. She was like, no, you're too big. You can't have a water birth. This is going to be, you're going to come back, see a consultant bi-weekly. Your blood pressure's so high, through the roof. You can get what's the condition that's attached to blood pressure when you're pregnant? That's the one. Like, they made me so scared, and my birth was medically intervened all the way till the end. Like the first, I had one induction, it failed, I went back home, went back the week after, the induction failed again, so then they had to break my waters. I still wasn't contracting, so then they put me on the drip, and after that it was just a big trauma.
Was your daughter's dad supportive at all?
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember. I don't remember. Like, I know after giving birth and how traumatic the birth was, it triggered complex PTSD. And for me, what happens when trauma like that happens in my life, my memory just goes. I don't have much memory. I remember moments of being in the theatre. I remember what the doctor said to me. I remember looking up at the surgical, like seeing myself hemorrhage. After that, nothing. Like, I don't remember the evening whilst I was labouring because I was so sick during my labour. I was in and out of consciousness, but I didn't know I was unconscious. So I was saying to them, I keep falling asleep, I'm so tired. So no one picked up on it. No one picked up on the fact that I was actually really sick. And how was I supposed to know? I thought I was just, that's just what happened.
This is the thing. This is the thing, because like, to say again, when we are birthing, doctors and nurses, like, at the end of the day, they're there to protect the interest of the hospital to an extent. I don't know, this might trigger someone, but like, initially that's what they're going to do, and they're going to do that obviously to where they deem something is a risk and it's medically safe for them to do. Fortunately, depending on how you see it, how you look at it. So it's it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
James had 3.
Yeah, I know, and it's like, but the thing is even though I've had 3, don't tell me I'm a pro because I can't stand that one. So, oh, you should be a pro by now. No, really I'm not. But it's just like they were not traumatic. With my eldest Lejla, even though I was 19, gave birth at 20, I loved being pregnant with her, even though there was many people that were saying this is the wrong decision for you. One of my closest friends told me to have an abortion, and I wasn't ready to hear that yet because I was like, do you not think that I'm capable of doing this? That hurt a lot. That really hurt a lot, especially from someone that, But other than that, 13 years down the line, look at where she is. So it's, for me, that pregnancy and giving birth, that I overcame a lot of things. I understood where I stood with friends and family and who was there with me from the beginning. Like, I will never forget the day that Lejla came over to my house. I always bring this story up. But I think she came into the house with this massive, the big ass, Primark bags, the big ones, and it was just filled to the top with baby clothes. And, but I needed that because it was like, wow, like you haven't ran away, like, because I was young and it was like, I don't know, I think maybe because I had that aspect of, oh, you're young, so, stay away from her kind of thing. But that was everything for me. And then, but I had the best experience with Lejla. I understood with my family as well. Many of them were telling me not to have her, etc., etc. Thank you. But I overcame a lot with her, and she was the light to a dark tunnel and helped me get to places where I needed to be, and proved a lot with being with Manuel for it's more than 13 years. I always forget, and it sounds so bad because I've been with him from 17 and I'm now going to be 33. Someone do the maths for me. Quick maths. All right, no. But 16?
15, 16 years,
Imagine. Wow. And that's my first love and will always be. And we've got 3 children, 3 healthy children. And then we had April. Again, my birth was amazing. I didn't have any issues with her. And it came to the 3rd child, Leo, my king. And I think with him it was different because with Lejla, there was a lot of medical things around her. And I think it was just because of the fear of, oh my God, I'm going to experience such pain. Bring me the epidural. And I wasn't ready for that. In my mind, I really wasn't ready for that. And then with April, I kind of was like, I really wanted to have my own birth plan, which never goes to plan. I never understood why we have birth plans. Come 3rd child now. I did it at home. Most of it I did at home with gas in there until I ran out. And but the only thing I would say about that was the fact that I was getting really pressurized because they said, because this is my 3rd child now, the baby's going to come quick. And they were really impatient. So every time I was having a contraction, oh, do you think that you'll be, you feel like you need to push now? Or, and I'm just sitting there. Manuel's trying to like put more hot water in the pool and trying to do his best. And it's trying to like, I don't know, I just felt like it was an awkward atmosphere. It was kind of almost like you could feel a negative energy in there because I was taking my time. These things you cannot rush.
Was this pandemic times?
This was pandemic 100%. Time. Poor Leo. But he, God willing, I had to, because they didn't want to wait until my waters broke. As soon as I was in the A&E, it broke. So it's like, ambulance, sorry.
Yes.
But it was just like, I just wanted to be in my, you're asking me, what do I want in my plan? I'm telling you, I want a home birth. And this is what I want. Please, can you just allow me? I didn't want at that point, I think I was just more involved into natural, holistic things as well. So I had the what do you call it, the diffuser on, I had everything on, the mood lights, Manuel running in with the hot water, rubbing my back, and for me it was perfect, but the only scene I just didn't like was just the pressure of having to be quick, like I can. And he's healthy, I gave birth naturally, and to hear, you know, stories, these traumatic stories, and I'm sitting here like, okay. But then again, I think it's good to hear these two stories because not every story is bad, and it's not fearful. And I don't think it should be, you know, being able to give birth is such a beautiful thing to do, and not many people can do that. So when you do experience it, unfortunately, you know, it is traumatic, and some is fine, and it's just a story that we should be willing to share to each other because I think it will help. So I can be more respectful for people that have gone through trauma whilst giving birth. And another thing I do want to say, I did want a doula. I really wanted a doula so badly, so badly. And that was the first time I saw my birth plan, the option, do you have a doula? I was like, oh, I was like, okay. And then my sister was like, I can be your doula. I was like,
But do you know what I hear, like listening to you tell your stories, that actually the parts of your birth that were slightly tainted or maybe even tarnished is the lack of support, is where you felt like people abandoned you instead of supported you.
And it be your own, it's your family. And I think
be your own,
it hurts when, I mean, my dad didn't speak to me for what, well, you didn't even see Lejla for nearly a year, I think. And he didn't want to speak to me, he kind of disowned me. And I didn't understand because my sister gave birth when she was around 18, I think around that time as well, 19. I was like, so what's different this time round? And I remember one conversation I had with my mum, and we went out. This is obviously after I told her about everything, and she never met Manuel at this point, so imagine hearing, oh, you're pregnant, but who's the dad? Like, I can imagine that, and I would hate that for Lejla to do this to me, okay? I mean, I'm portraying myself so bad. I was fine, I got raised.
Still with him now.
Imagine, exactly, thank you. But I remember one conversation, I still remember this. My mum's probably forgotten. She took me out to Ealing to do baby shopping, and she said to me, we were just sitting casually, and she was like, oh, I'm disappointed in you. And that, I was just like, whoa, for my mum to say that to me. And then I kind of was just, I just felt like a little child again. I was just like, okay, moving on. But that's me. But I always laugh at everything. I try to make something negative positive. And I just thought, okay, you'll see me. Watch. Come on. Yeah. So, and I think that's the best thing you could do, is just use that motivation to get you somewhere, to be like, look at me now. But yeah, that's that. I can't speak any more of it because it's just...
I think it's just so unfair, like, just where are people that are supposed to love us fail us as women in the time we need them the most, like when we're the most vulnerable. Like, you can't be more vulnerable than when you're pregnant. And yet, even in my own personal experience, I was abandoned by my own family for similar reasons, like Jane as well. And I just think, like, I needed that. I needed that support. I needed that love. I needed to feel like no matter what was going to happen, I was going to be okay, and I never got it. And that adds to the trauma a lot more than just it being a physical, actual trauma.
Yeah. See, my mum, oh gosh, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have got through a whole birthing experience.
That's me too, yeah.
Honestly, and you know, to give credit where she's very difficult. My mum, so difficult, but if it wasn't for her during that whole time, the prayers, I couldn't hear anything. All I can hear was her prayers. And then afterwards, like, she's got mobility issues, and I've had a C-section, and she's getting up with Zaid in the middle of the night to feed, to change, because I've had a C-section. And yeah, although me and my mum, hot and cold, and we clashed so much, I will always remember, because if it wasn't for her, I literally would have had no one at all. You know, like the first 6 weeks after C-section, horrific. You can't hold your own child.
It's really so if you was married, where was hubby?
You know what, because I was staying at, he was so absent during the birth, and then I stayed at my mum's because I was too scared to be more alone. Imagine, like, I was alone during birth, so I stayed with my mum for the first 6 weeks, and he would come to my parents' house as a visitor for a little bit and then go. And I was just like, and I was so scared to go back home because I'm literally going to be alone. So he'd come like, you know, like how family members
just come and pay a visit.
quick visit, swift, and then he does his own thing. And I think that also, because we didn't plan a baby, that just really, really put a huge strain on our marriage. Like, you know, I feel like, you know, I didn't plan it, but I accepted it, got on, you know, and started living. And then it was just, even 3 weeks, because cultural clash as well. Oh my God, it's all coming back to me. Cultural clash as well, you know. We weren't getting on in the first 3 weeks of Zaid's birth, but he wanted to take Zaid to his mum's without me because his mum wanted to be at the birth, and I'm like, I'm vulnerable. I don't want anyone seeing me at this state, you know. But he wanted to take Zaid to his mother's, and I was just like, no, you can't take my son without me. He was just like, no, but you and my mum are not getting on. And I was just like, okay, well, you need to have my back then, you know. And then it was just from then downward spiral. It started getting worse and worse and worse. A lot of resentment. And I think a big reason why I will never have more kids, is because of the experience of after the aftermath, you know. And it's just like, I find it difficult to understand, like from a human perspective, you know, not as like man, it's like, it's human, it's inhumane.
If we had like a matriarchy, the same way that men are supported and enabled by a patriarchy, for me, like what would be an ideal matriarchy is after a woman gives, during birth, after birth, during pregnancy, is the whole village gathers around her and just steps in and just does what she can't do. Even after birth, like there are some cultures where after birth the women in the village, they come and they help you wash and they look after the baby and like, why don't we have that?
Exactly. It would make such a big difference.
Like if you do have that support network or that support system, reaching out and telling them like,
do you know
I'm about to have the baby.
Sorry. Not so much like them reaching out, like they should just come
naturally.
But I'm just
just
that doesn't happen. Like I'm saying, if you know that that's what you would have liked, so that's.
But I know that now.
You didn't know that then, but that's what I'm saying. So that's like, if you've got a support system, reach out, because they might not reach out to you, but if you can reach out and let them know, like I want the second time when I had my daughter, like you said, when I had my son. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what to expect. But with my daughter, it was like, cook for me so that I don't have to worry about food. And just things like that, supporting me in those ways. So I don't have to think about all the extra stuff, whether it be having my son. So me, my child's father, and my daughter had time to ourselves. So the first time, I didn't know, like I said, what I wanted or what to expect. But now I know, I would say, if you've got a network or a support system, and it's for those who don't, and it is nice, people listening, like, be that help. Like you said, be that support, so that people don't have to ask. It's annoying when you have to ask, but then sometimes people don't know either. Because if we didn't know what we want, then how's people, like, if they didn't have kids,
I had a traumatic birth, I'm not going to go into it. And my postpartum care was I was literally on my own after having a C-section. Like my ex's family, they wanted to reach out, but they didn't reach out because they thought like culture, like they just didn't. And I, like now me and my partner not together, they obviously felt guilty that they didn't at the time. But that's one of the reasons why we're not together again, because like it's really hard. And I think we need to have these conversations when it comes to having a child. Your birth plan, not even just the birth plans, talk about postpartum. Who's going to have the aftercare? Like, who do you want around you? How's your space? Cook. Food, who's going to bring food? And I know like we love our girls and our friends, but just coming around to look at the child, sometimes we don't need you to do that. Come on, you know what I mean? Take take my child and let me have a nap for half an hour. Things like that. Be actual like practical help.
That's
rather
funny
than
you say that, because I don't know if you guys watch Insecure, but there's an episode where literally one of the girls has a baby and all the friends come come over, and they're literally getting stuck in. They're doing food, they're doing meal prep, they're doing laundry, and she's gone in to have a nap.
That's literally how it should be.
And I guess if you have like close friends like that you're happy to be in your home, then that's great. But also family should be able to, again,
to your partner,
even
about it as well.
Like, even when I go to like baby showers now, sometimes I don't give a gift for the baby because I'd rather give a gift
for the mum.
And
I'll tell you, because one of the biggest shocks for me after having my daughter was how freely everyone came to visit and to coo over the baby, and not a single person ever asked me if I was okay. I remember one particular visit, Bella was about 9 or 10 days old, and it was my ex's family came over, and it was just this whole group of people making so much noise, and I was sitting there in a pool of blood. And I was too embarrassed to get up and say, you know what, I should be comfortable in my own home after the trauma I just went through. Everybody get out. But I didn't. I just sat there thinking, I can't get up. I've just had to, because I was bleeding. I thought, if I get up, I'm going to be so embarrassed.
And you could be, and it's normal. Like, you know, it should be like, oh, you've had a C-section, are you okay?
Yeah, the awareness wasn't there for them to be like, oh my God, she's just come out of hospital. If I'm just going to come and coo over the baby, let me just be 10, 15 minutes and bounce. Because if you're not going to stay and do my washing up, go.
But do you know what? I wasn't even aware of certain things that happens to your body after having a baby. Like, I used to watch TV and think, oh, then you have this big... The pain that sometimes, like, with bleeding. I never knew you just... When they were saying, like, oh, you need... What's those pads called to get the maternity pads? And I was like, maternity pads for what? I didn't think that you still bled after having a baby. Before having a baby. I literally didn't.
And postnatal depression as well. Like, I had it, but I didn't have like the classic of, you know, detached from my child.
I think that's a big misconception that you become detached from your child if you've got postnatal depression.
Right? It was the opposite for me.
Generally, they say that every woman will go through a stage where we will feel some sort of postnatal depression. Generally.
You don't need... I didn't know when I was going through it. It's only when after maternity leave and went back to work. And then because I didn't let anyone with Zaid, because I was on my own, experienced that birth, and it felt so alone. It just felt like it was just me and Zaid. No one was allowed to take pictures of Zaid. No one... Even my mum, I was just like, you're not allowed any pictures. It was so unreasonable. You know, no one was allowed to look after Zaid. Even like if I had a dentist appointment, I would take my newborn with me, Tesco or any like quick errands up the road. I'd have to take him with me because I just didn't trust.
Because like the shift in like your hormones,
the shift in your hormones, the shift in your life. Like your whole life has changed. And you have this little human that is now yours. Is so you have to be so protective over.
But I class that as postnatal depression, right?
This is what I'm saying. Like we all go through it. Like. Clinically saying, you could say that we all go through some sort of postnatal depression or emotional issues, which is fine, and I don't think we should put a negative connotation over it.
I think it's like
it's natural and it's okay.
It's a life shift. It's a big life shift. Obviously, you're losing sleep. Already, that's getting you delirious. You're not really sleeping much, and obviously, if you're breastfeeding, that's also a different thing because you're constantly having to think about. I need to make sure that my child's fed and full. I think for my situation, at the time I was engaged before I got pregnant, and then that kind of fell through. So I think when I had Els, a lot of the focus was wasn't how it was meant to be, and I was not focused on that, but I was definitely thinking like this wasn't how I envisioned it to be. I definitely wanted more support. My mum, she stayed with me for like a year. So she was at home, she was cooking the meals, like literally again, same as Yasmin, if she wasn't there, like I just don't know how that would even, I would be able to function, because literally she would be up with Els. What's the thing where you get when they
colic.
Yeah, so she had a colic, so she's constantly crying in the night. Obviously, I'm not getting sleep, and then obviously if you don't get sleep, then your milk production goes like that. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So in terms of the tips, I don't know.
I'll say discussing.
Every story is different.
I think discussing it with your partner, like all of this, because obviously we spoke about like friends and family, like the person that you made the baby with.
I mean, it depends on who you made the baby with.
Well, I mean, you've got things to talk about.
Because you might not even want to be near them after that. I mean, that was I just didn't want you in my space.
Yeah.
And obviously we share a baby, but in my mind, I'm just like, I just need to focus on the right thing. So yeah, it's hard to even detach if you're in a relationship or not, and having a new baby.
But like, if they have the understanding, okay, because like you said, we've done it now. So for new mums, it's like they're not going to know until it happens. But before then,
unfortunately,
I think discussing with your, like, they can hear our stories or look up online about what happens and educate themselves, and then also to the men, because it's new parents, not just to the mums, educating themselves also, and then having these conversations.
Being present with your partner.
I was just going to say, like, also I think where pregnancy and birth is and afterbirth is just so vulnerable for women, it's not about the man. It really is the other parent's role to step in and say, what can I do for you?
To support you,
You guys, because it's you and the baby.
But then remember, what we were saying is to everybody it's different. So we're going to go on to in our next episode talking about like how we like to be loved. Do you know what I mean? So 100%. How do you want to be supported? And thinking about that. Do you know what I mean? And then you're able to tell them, because
that I didn't have and I wish I had. Maybe might still be with my ex. You never know. Like you just never know.
But it's always about our parents, isn't it?
It's always
Like
my mum wasn't as present as I'd like her to be, and we have issues in our relationship because of it. But at the same time, I can't hold on to that resentment because it's just gonna hold me back in life. But you know, like, it is what it is.
I've just got to say before, I just need to, because everything that I said may have sounded negative, but my mum and my mother-in-law were the best thing throughout all 3 births. They were there constantly praying. She cooked for me, etc., etc. So even though there were things at the beginning, it's now resolved to a point where we all understand each other. And if I didn't have them, I would have not survived, to be fair. Them cooked meals. So
I would like just to say, like, for tips for any new mum, I would just say, when you are having a child or entering a student stage in your life, just remember who you are as a woman, and don't let the child obviously take away that from you, because you will lose yourself in that, and that literally like will help you stay somewhat sane through the transition in your life.
Come on.
And then when anyone is offering you support, take it, and have your boundaries at the same time.
That's important.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and
subscribe.
It's the MediaNet series podcast. Welcome to our hood. It's motherhood. Yeah.